The hardest thing to do is what? Don't get it confused with the easiest thing to be. The hardest thing to do is start change. Because you are going backwards and you're going to try and go forwards. And so it takes a little bit to reverse the momentum, which is energy. So what is fear?
Emotional response to something that you believe?
No, this is pretty concrete, black and white. This is like dictionary worthy. Fear is a memory. It's gone beyond the thought, beyond the emotion or feeling, and it's now a memory. Whether it's real or not is irrelevant.
Filter. Same as a filter.
For the most part, yeah. It is a memory, the memory of. So if I'm seeing things through that memory, that filter, then yeah. So the difference between success and failure of anything in life is always rooted in fear. So
I like the quote from the dude, we don't fear the unknown, we fear leaving the known, which would be the memory, the filter, where the fear is leaving the current comfortable place. We're not scared of what might happen, we're
right.
scared of leaving, we know what is happening.
It's like when you find out that grace isn't enough. You know, and you can sit over here and just keep singing grace, or you can position yourself to experience the blessing in the physical realm as well as the spiritual realm. But we stay over here. I was reading behind one of these videos, I was reading all the comments on YouTube, and down about 100 comments into it, a lady says something about grace and love and Jesus or something. And the response was classic. And whoever responded to her said, come out of your cave. Well, that's kind of what it's like when we position ourselves in that place where we are thinking that we reach this place of never having to change anything else again for the rest of our lives, or that we've reached this place of perfectionism where it must be someone else's fault. How could it be mine? For I am perfect. For I know all, and no one can speak truth to me. That's the difference. So how did some of this stuff ring true or whatever to some of the more recent things that we've been learning?
When we do stuff like this, man, I'm tying together bits and pieces from all of it that I know to be true, whether here with you, Sims, Jeffries, Joe Dub, Rabbi, whatever craziness I've gotten on YouTube or whatever, that's what happens for me, is the tying it all into one.
Yeah, but see, that place is the medica whateverism. It takes a while to get there.
Oh yeah.
Some of these guys, most of them are still in this place where we categorize things.
The shticks.
We don't position ourselves to bring all that in because we're too busy taking exact notes of what comes into our ears or our eyes, and then there's no you involved in that, and so you can't connect it. And if there's no you, there's no him, whatever, your creator. It's just data, which is knowledge.
That was the biggest thing for me tonight. If I don't know my current position, who I am, where I am, also can tie it into authentically communicating, which is, I don't do that on a daily basis throughout the day. Even when I'm listening to Rabbi, or I could be listening to you, a tape like that, I'm writing stuff down as a script or data, and ultimately won't apply that part to my life. Because
So you're taking all these notes, right?
yeah.
When do you ever go back to those notes? There's nothing new under the sun. So why are we constantly seeking new information? What if everything you needed you already had or you already heard? That's when you reach a place of complete and utter frustration and ultimate acceptance. Because it doesn't matter where you turn, once you've reached a certain level of mind, everything is the same. So then you have to do what? You have to stop looking outwards and look inwards. And that's what he says at the end. Whatever he says, you want to change the world, change yourself, change your mind. So it's that importance of getting that information at the time in which it comes to you from whoever it's coming from, and being able to identify who you are in it and then apply it. You don't have time to take notes when you're doing that. I'm not saying note taking's bad. It's great for getting an A on a test, but it means nothing for life application.
That's all it gets you, is an A on a test.
That's it.
I don't mean nada.
It gets you, it's called assimilation. It means that they are turning you into what they want you to be. And that might sting a little bit. But it's ultimately taking the you out, the who you are. The goal is to position you, to get you in a place where you have the ability to receive things and have them all link up together and apply them. That's the goal. But I guess that's a level of mind that I guess a lot of people don't reach. It's the sheep effect. It's the assimilation. It's what they want to control you and your actions. They don't want you to think outside of the box. They don't even want you to know there is a box. I'm serious. There are people and machines that are thinking for you well in advance for companies and organizations and political issues and all sorts of stuff, just based on data. It's a willingness to examine the undeniable in your life, which is what Paul was talking in regards to inventory, which is I'm not who I think I am. So I need to find out who I am. How do I do that? Examining the undeniables in the present as well as the past, how I got here. That's the beginning of restoration. Doesn't matter if you believe in Yeshua or Jesus or the devil or whatever. It's not about any of those things. It's about a willingness to position yourself to accept or not accept something based on things that are so obvious they're undeniable. And just a simple willingness to do that begins to change your life. That's why the journey or the beginning of restoration starts there. It doesn't start when you start doing something in regards to like applying and stuff like that. It really actually starts right there. Because your body does it for you at the beginning. Or as God's Word says, it's Him in us. He changes our want-tos. We don't want to change them.
So, Creator in us, right?
Yeah.
We're not Him, He's in us.
Right.
I just have my own, He wants us, created us in His image. So, the rubs are not His image. So that's like, it goes back to me personally, the opportunity. That's the God-given thing He just broke down in like a scientific brain matter of God constantly in the pursuit of me being more like Him. Just accepting that He wants to be one with me. It's a literal, the subconscious mind is not one with Him, so the rub is the poke, the prod from God to try to restoration, more and more. He's in constant pursuit of restoring me and Him to be one.
Correct.
I just think that's, i.e. Christ in the flesh. Like,
Which is what He said. Did you hear Him?
oh yeah.
He said, the Word in the flesh.
So, real quick, it's kind of we've probably mostly had knowledge, but I don't know if you can remember, but learning the Hebrew, the image. Image is hukim, which is lasting impression. Really, the focus of it is, it's not a picture as we think, like, that's an image of us. It's an operation is the image. You're in the image of when you operate like that thing. That makes so much. He just broke down the science of how to restore the brain to be in the image of how you were meant to be created.
Which is what?
Who you are.
What's that?
Who you are.
Which is what?
True self.
Which is what?
Not sure.
Relating to what you just said, you said the image is the operation. If we were created in the image of God, we are to operate as He operated.
Correct.
Correct. Which is what?
Child of God, Christ in the flesh.
It's so religious.
I don't know what you're asking.
Order.
Order, yeah.
Which is what? The accurate arrangement of all things.
So we're God of order. He's constantly trying to get us back to being in order.
In order. Out of order. In order. One. Not one. When our body's in order, the chemicals in our bodies in order, our mind's in order, we can be versus whatever this is. So that's what I said the other day. Something came up about order in regards to, it changing based on your position or perspective or understanding or lack thereof or whatever. And the truth is that no. It's the same. It's the constant. It's our willingness to accept it or not that places us in it or out of it. Because you can't accept something and then work against it. That just places us more at disease or out of order.
It so starts and ends with me, like devil, Satan, whatever. Like I have about no concept of that anymore, at least in the way the world looks at it. Like there is no devil unless I choose to go that route. Like me making a decision would be the devil.
At some point we've got to come to a place to where we realize that we are not God. And along that journey, titles and religious rhetoric or those types of things are the things in which entrap us into assimilation. Knowing that I could not have planned my life up to this very moment to have it turn out the way in which it did means that there is a power greater than myself. There's no doubt about it. The more I think I know in regards to that power, God the Creator, the less I know. The more I try to learn about it or understand it or figure it out, the more dis-ease I have in my life. For me, at this particular moment in time, I have resigned to acceptance of knowing that there is a Creator that is there and has orchestrated all of this for his amusement. I can only assume. And so in knowing that, just as much as I know that, knowing that that's all I know in regards to that, I don't spend a lot of mental time trying to understand, label, figure out anything that is around that. So, good, bad, evil, devil, God, whatever. Because I know that the more I look into it, the farther I'm getting away from here. And he wants me to look inside, not outside, for the answers. And so this is one area in my life that I have to actively practice these principles that he just talked about. The matrix effect, the meta whatever, mecca lecca hi, mecca hiney ho, whatever. It's not something that's natural to me right now. It is something that I have to continually position myself for restoration instead of destruction. And accept that he is the same as he was when I came into this understanding as he is today. He is. And how do I know that? Based on my testimony. It's undeniable. There's no mistaking it. It's not luck, it's not happen chance, it's not position, it's not law of attraction. It is the one thing in my life that I know that is undeniable that I cannot explain. Therefore, I do not explain it. Because it's not about, the minute I begin to try to explain it, it's for somebody else. It's not for me. Which means it's for outside perception of what I want people to believe about me. Which means I'm out of position. And it doesn't change who I am where I am. And it allows me to continue to grow and to move into order with him. It allows me to influence and impact others for good instead of evil. There's a lot of things that I can explain and spend time on. And there's a lot of things that I know work. And it doesn't discount who he is. And of course we're using he just because. If I allow myself to get caught up into that, which is, the creator of all these things that make all these principles apply for everyone, no matter who you are, where you are, no matter what race you are, no matter what you think you know or don't know, is irrelevant to whether or not these things work or not. Whether I go to the temple or whether I go to the church or whether I don't go at all or whether, it doesn't matter. These things still happen. And so I'd have to be ignorant not to accept that. And that ignorance would cause me to not be in a position to grow, which is a place that I was stuck for some time, sharing authentically. And it didn't cause me to go back to my old ways of life, but I definitely had a constant sense of dis-ease or disorder until I was willing to embrace it and accept it for what it is, based on the undeniables, using the people that know me best in this life. And be okay with that. That's what examining the undeniables does for you, is it brings forth the absolute 100% truth for you. It may not be the truth in regards to explanation, as we have this one understanding of our designer, but it's just the willingness to see everything for what it is. And that's what that position does for you. This is, my best thinking got me here. And I knew a lot. But everything I knew was worthless to my current position. And there's a lot of things I don't know. Like how the electric's going to get paid next month, or how we're going to have a woman's house, or how lots of things. But yet they continue to happen. So I've resigned to understanding that. I've mastered showing up and the things that come shortly thereafter. I stay in a place of change. What was comfortable to me in the past is hell today. Certainly didn't plan to be here. I mean, this morning I planned on being here tonight. But outside of that, I didn't sit around and go, this is what's going to happen and this is how it's going to work out. I didn't do that. Because I can barely get outside of showing up for today. And I'm trying to work on seeing beyond that. And that's where, he talks about it's irrelevant in whether or not it happens physically, which goes into spending time with your eyes closed, seeing things in completion, which I call praying in completion. Praying as if things were already in that state. It's a really weird way of thinking, and it's taking a lot of work, which is why I have rituals that force me to get into a position to take the time to practice something that's very uncomfortable. But based on everything that I'm learning, and based on everything that I have learned up to this very moment, it is unbelievably undeniable. And the power of thought and the energy and just these incredible things that are out there that most people just don't even know because they don't take the time to investigate. I was talking to Dr. Mike earlier. Most people have no idea that they can change. And it's not necessarily their fault until they know. Because the government tells them they can't change because they've created a system that places them in a particular bracket that forces them to stay there. Very few people break out of it. Then you have a religious system that does the same thing and forces you to assimilate your physical self as well as your mental self. And if you even think outside of what they define as truth, they try and make it so scary that you never go there. Like you're going to hell or you're filled with demons or something stupid like that. Just for thinking about existence and life. That's crazy talk. But that's what the religious system has done. It's the way in which our world was, not our world, but at least the United States and this current government was built upon, which was control. And how do you control people? Fear. Which is why it is the root of who we are inside and all things that cause us to not succeed or break through, because we're controlled from it. And it's something that is subconscious and it is rooted way down in there. It's much more fun to sit around and talk about stuff like this. Stuff that we can see. Stuff that is being proven through science as well as testimony. That is applicable to today, this moment, the here and now. We have so many things. Everything that we need is right here. They've been talking about these things for a long time. The ones that were brave enough. Even the technologies and the means to health, whether it be the EFT or the oils or the saunas or the float tanks or anything. They were talking about this stuff in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. And just no one would listen. They didn't have the internet. They just had the street corner or the classroom. That's what's so awesome about restoration and what we do here and what I believe we're being led to do in the future is help others, get into a position for restoration. And it doesn't matter if you believe or in the way I believe or if you believe a different way. None of those things matter. The only thing that matters is the undeniable. And when we accept the undeniable, the restoration is undeniable as well. Whether you're from Plant City or whether you're old or young or black or white or rich or poor or whatever, it doesn't matter. The results are always the same. Why? Because they're all based on universal laws which were written into us by our Creator. They have the ability to resolve themselves, as you just saw, under a microscope. I mean, that just blew me away. About made me start crying when I saw that. Just that little boop, where it goes, stop, where it goes like that, and it's caught in that triangle, and then two distinct lines. Man, that's like, you don't understand what that is. That's not data. That's death in life. And I've experienced and seen it for many people. I've seen death, the addiction or the thoughts or the choices or whatever, physical death, mental death, spiritual death. And I've seen life sitting right here at this table 10 times over. So when I see that and my hairs jump up and I get tears in my eyes, it's because that's how I bring it in. That's what I'm seeing. I'm not just seeing some slide of some scientist telling me some scientific names about a scientific thing. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, because there is no right or wrong. What I'm saying is that's the kind of impact that taking information, positioning yourself to receive the undeniable truth can do for you, where you can see something that most people would think as ordinary or mundane, and you can see life and death in it. And it inspires you in such a way and creates so much energy that it positions you to forge forward and to do things in which you've never done before. And keeps you coming back over and over and over again. Not knowing how. The how. Not knowing the how. Plain and simple. But knowing the why. Because of who I am, where I am. And receiving enough to continue the cycle. Which is the difference between success and failure. Which is the difference between being affected or affecting. It's really hard to affect, to be the effector, to be a good superhero. I'm the effector. It's really hard to be that when you're taking notes. And again, notes aren't bad. When you're just trying to consume, it's impossible to affect. It's crazy. See, those are the moments. That's the undeniable part that you can't explain. Doesn't matter how many notes you take or how many degrees you got or what you think you know. You can't make that happen. All you can do is be ready for when it does, so that you can maximize it. In a split second, turn it from just a mustard seed to the Red Sea.
I don't know if there's something to the science part of that. But,
I mean, there's still so much there, it's not even funny. The whole ending part about going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, I'm just going to have to go back and replay it over and over and over again until I hear it all.
The video was awesome, but it contained a lot of that technical jargon that I did not completely understand at all. But this whole slide thing was like literally blowing my mind because it was just cool watching how it worked. That's what I was focusing on the most. That's why I didn't really write much down, but I was like blown away just by the whole mapping and everything that they did in the slides. But I mean, I never got an opportunity to say what it was that I actually took from
That's
that.
because you got up and went to the bathroom, bro. I can't control that.
I drank too much before starting the meeting.
That's what got you to this position. That and some other things.
But, I mean, the main thing that I took away from that was you are what you think. like literally. I mean, you change the thought over and over and over, and eventually it'll change and become something different, and that's what sticks. I mean, like you said, you have the whole power in your mind thing. You have everything you need for life, but we don't.
It's not power unless it's in order. So don't confuse yourself.
Probably power was not the
Well,
right term to
I'm
use.
not just saying you in general. I'm saying everybody.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Just taking a long route to get to it. Like, I mean, we have everything we need. Like the one video we watched with Dr. Mike, I think it was, where it was like the dude was dying and told his wife to lean in and said, whenever you wake up in the morning,
Emotion.
you have everything you need and more. So, I mean, like, just combining all that together is like mind blowing with seeing how that works, and then having everything we need and more to get through everything in life. But then in the way we use that is giving us life and death. Whether we keep feeding it the negative emotion or the negative thought, I should say, going to end up pulling you down, destroying you, create disease and be out of order, or doing a positive thought and then speaking life into it in a sense and being in order.
It's that momentum. It's that energy. Going backwards versus going forwards.
Like you say, you're either speaking life or you're speaking death. Same thing in your mind. You got the negative constantly going and going and going, but whichever one screams louder is the one that's going to get the most glue or the most attention, or whatever terminology you want to use. It's
Which then you'll live it out. That's the application. And so when you're living out things that are not true or that are not in order, your results are not that great. Therefore, you don't put a lot of energy towards it. But when you see things and you get a good result, naturally you're going to invest a lot more into it each time because the potential was there. It was the application that made the difference. The more application you put to it, the more energy you build, the more result you get. You just keep going. It's like a train. It's hard to stop that. You can get hit by life, death, marriages, cancer, whatever. And because you're going so strong, jail, past, because you're going so strong, because you were willing to put yourself on this train of energy moving forward, that when you got hit, it might have slowed you down for a minute, but the momentum never stopped moving forward. So you were able to get right back up and move forward so much faster. Versus, we used to call it a yard sale when you wreck skiing down a hill or trying to jump or something. You'd see a pole over here or a pole over in a ski. We used to call it yard sale. Some people call it a train wreck, but it's like utter destruction. You got to go and pick up this, and you got to go pick up. I mean, it's like before you can even get back on to start moving in a particular direction, it takes a long time just to get everything back together. And so that's the why. One of them. Body in motion stays in motion. Universal law. Wow. Emotion.
Stays at rest.
It's called potential energy. Potential energy.
Yeah,
Potential.
we all have it. We all have the same potential. Why? If you know who you are, where you are, you will always know this. Why? Because you were made in the image of the Creator. I mean, there's a lot of things to believe, but I can't find any negative thing that believing that would cause me. It's only positive that stems from that. I wasn't made in the image of Adam or some guy named Adam. I was made in the image of God, who is the accurate arrangement of all things. The beginning and the end. I have the same potential as anybody else out there. Once you understand that, that should give you the energy to just go attack anything and know that you will succeed in it. And it's not about when you succeed at it or how you succeed at it, because those things don't exist in reality. Wrap your mind around that. It's just simply getting up and charging forward because of who you are, where you are. Failure is part of success. One always comes before the other. Always. Just like gravity. It's nuts. It's another universal law. It's nuts.
Yeah, you can't know what one or the other is without having the other.
You'll never be able to see the good unless you experience the bad.
Vice
You'll never
versa.
know what good is yet, you know. If you only see good, then you don't really know what bad is.
Those things don't exist in reality, in the now. Just the process of acceptance and application. That's it.